Let's talk about something we all go through, starting a new job. Those first 3 months, they pretty much decide whether you're going to succeed or fail. It is a time of, let's be honest, extreme vulnerability. So today we are breaking down the roadmap to not just get through it, but to absolutely crush those critical first 90 days. All based on the fantastic book by Michael Watkins.
Okay, I want to start with a number that might just shock you. 6.2 months. What is that? Well, according to research, that's the average amount of time it takes for a new manager to actually start adding more value than they're taking. Think about that for a second. For over half a year, you are, technically, a net cost to your new company. That is a long, pretty exposed period where the pressure is on to prove you were the right hire.
This brings us to a key concept, the break-even point. You see, when you start a new role, you're a value consumer. You're learning the ropes, you're going through training, you're using up resources. The entire game of your first 90 days is to shrink that time and cross the line to become a net value contributor as fast as you possibly can. Because staying below that line for too long, well, that's where so many promising careers start to go off the rails.
And that's exactly why these first few months are so incredibly critical. Every single thing you do, every meeting, every email, every decision, it all has this outsized impact on whether you'll succeed in the long run. You don't have those established relationships to lean on yet. You don't have a deep, intuitive feel for the company culture. If you fail to build momentum now, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle for a long, long time. And if you're thinking, oh well, this is for more junior folks, think again. No one gets a pass on this. Nobody is immune to this trap, not even the most seasoned executives. Let's take a look at a really powerful cautionary tale. Douglas Ivester, a man who seemed absolutely destined for greatness at the top of Coca-Cola.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's shockingly fast. On paper, Ivester was the perfect guy. He was a financial genius, the clear heir apparent. But here's the thing. He completely failed to make that crucial mental leap from being a chief operating officer to a chief executive officer. The very habits that made him a star in his old job, that intense, laser-like focus on operational details, they actually became his biggest liabilities. He wouldn't even name a new COO, trying to do both jobs at once as a kind of super COO.
And this quote from the Wall Street Journal just nails it, doesn't it? He knew the math, but not the music. His failure wasn't about a lack of talent. It was about his inability to let go of what was comfortable and embrace the completely new strategic mindset the job demanded. This is such a classic trap. Your greatest strengths in one role can become your biggest weaknesses in the next.
It's a pretty sobering story, right? It really shows that just working harder at what you already know how to do is not the answer. So, how do you avoid that trap? How do you learn to swim instead of just sinking? Well, the great news is there's a proven framework for it. All right, so let's get into that framework. The first 90 days gives us a really systematic way to break this huge challenge down into pieces we can actually manage, starting with 10 core tasks you're going to face. Now, the book lays out these 10 challenges. And honestly, looking at this list all at once, yeah, it can feel a little bit like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. It's a lot.
So, instead of trying to juggle all 10 things at once, we can boil it all down into 3 core pillars. This gives you a much clearer focus for your energy. And it all begins with the work you have to do on yourself.
Pillar number 1 is all internal. It's about mastering your mindset. Promoting yourself isn't about bragging. It's about making a mental promotion. You have to consciously let go of your old job and its comfortable habits. And at the same exact time, you have to become a learning machine, just a sponge, soaking up information about the new people, the politics, and the culture as fast as you possibly can.
Okay, Pillar 2 kicks in next. This is all about planning. You have to correctly diagnose the situation you're walking into and then pick the right strategy for it. And after that, you have got to secure some early wins. You know, those small, visible victories that build your credibility and create that all-important positive momentum.
And the third pillar? It's all about people. Because let's face it, you can't succeed alone. This means you've got to build your immediate team, for sure, but you also have to look beyond them to create coalitions, to build networks of support and influence across the entire organization.
Now, of all those different challenges, there is one that stands out as the absolute most important place to start: matching your strategy to the situation.
Before you can get any wins or build a team, you have to accurately diagnose the business you've walked into. Because applying the wrong strategy is, without a doubt, the fastest way to fail.
So you have to stop and ask yourself this one critical question. What kind of situation am I really in here? And to answer that, we can use this brilliant diagnostic tool called the STARS model. The STARS model gives you 4 basic scenarios. And here's the key. Each one requires a completely different playbook. Are you in a startup, building from scratch? Or a turnaround, where the house is on fire and you need to act decisively and fast? Maybe it's a realignment, and this one is the trickiest, where you have to convince people who think they're doing great that they actually need to change. Or maybe you're in sustaining success, where the job is to take something already good and find a way to make it even better. You wouldn't bring hunting skills to a farming job, right? STARS helps you figure out whether you need to pack a spear or a plow.
Okay, so once you've used STARS to diagnose your situation, you can start building your 90-day plan. And what's your very first move? Well, it's focusing on the single most critical relationship for your success.
That's right, your new boss. They have more influence than anyone else on how quickly you get to that break-even point. You cannot just sit back and passively wait for them to manage you. You have to be proactive. You have to manage this relationship from day one to shape expectations. This isn't about playing the hand you're dealt, it's about helping to deal the cards yourself. And the best way to do that is by structuring it around these 5 critical conversations. First, you have the situation conversation, using the STARS model to get on the same page. Then, you move to expectations. What does a win look like in 30, 60, and 90 days? You discuss communication style, you negotiate for the resources you actually need to succeed, and finally, you talk about your personal development. Seriously, this structure is a game changer. It prevents so many deadly misunderstandings and helps you build a powerful alliance right from the start.
So let's end with this one thought. We so often see the first 90 days as this gauntlet we have to run, this scary test we just have to survive. But what if we've got that all wrong? What if it isn't a test, but an opportunity? A chance to systematically diagnose, to plan, and to build the foundation, not just for your own success, but for the success of your entire team. That is the real power of mastering your first 90 days.